इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। महारानी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री पांडव निर्जला एकादशी तिथि की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Hare
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 3 chapter 23 text 6. This chapter is entitled Devahuti's Lamentation. We will recite text 6 today. Kardama uvacha तुष्टोऽहमद्य तव मानवी. Sorry, 1 second. Acha, this is Brahma Samhita meter. तुष्टोऽहमद्य तव मानविमानदायाः शुश्रूषया परमया परया च भक्त्या यो देहिनाम् अयमतीव सुहृत् स देहो नावेक्षितः समुचितः क्षपितुं मदर्थे. कर्दम उवाच तुष्टोऽहमद्य तव मानविमानदायाः शुश्रूषया परमया परया च भक्त्या यो देहिनाम् अयमतीव सुहृत् स देहो नावेक्षितः समुचितः क्षपितुं मदर्थे. कर्दम उवाच तुष्टोऽहमद्य तव मानविमानदायाः शुश्रूषया परमया परया च भक्त्या यो देहिनामयमतीव सुहृत् स देहो नावेक्षितः समुचितः क्षपितुं मदर्थे. Please chant.
Kardama uvacha. Go ahead, Mataji.
No, Mataji, please go ahead.
Kardama uvacha तुष्टोऽहमद्य तव मानविमानधाये शुश्रूषया परमया परया च भक्त्या यो देहिनाम् अयमतीव सृष्टा देहो न वेक्ष्त समुचिता क्षपितं मदर्थे। हरे कृष्ण।
कर्दम उवाच तुष्टो अहमदया तव मानविमानदाय शुशुरस्य परमाया पराया च भक्त्या यो देहिनामयमतीव हृत्सदेहो नेवक्षितुमिचा शपितुं मदर्थे।
हरे कृष्ण। कर्दम उवाच तुष्टोऽहम् अद्य तव मानदाया शुश्रूषया परमया परया च भक्त्या यो देहिनामहरम् अतीव सुहृत्सदेहो न वेशितः समुचितः शपितुं मदर्थे। हरे कृष्ण।
कर्दम उवाच तुष्टोऽहम् अद्य तव मानविमानदाय शुश्रूषया परमया परया च भक्त्या यो देहिनामयमतीव सुहृत्सदेहो नावेक्षिता समुचिता क्षपितुं मदर्थे।
हरे कृष्ण।
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
कर्दम उवाच तुष्टोऽहमद्य तव मानविमानधाय शुश्रूषया परमाय पराय च भक्त्या यो देहिनामयम् अतीव श्रुतसदेहो नावेक्षितः समुचितः शक्तिं मद अर्थे।
Okay, thank you. Let's do word-to-word translation. Kardamaha uvacha, the great sage Kardama said, Tushtaha, pleased, Aham, I am, Adya, today, Tava, with you, Manavi, O daughter of Manu, Manadayaha, who are respectful. Mana means respect. Amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. Amanina. That means not expecting mana for self. Manadena, that means giving respect to others. So mana. Manadayaha, that means one who gives respect, who are respectful. Shushrushaya, by the service. Paramaya, most excellent. So these words are going together. Shushrushaya paramaya means most excellent service. Paraya, highest. Cha, and bhaktya, by the devotion. So these two words are going together. Paraya bhaktya, that means highest devotion. Yaha, that which. Dehinam, to the embodied. Dehinam, living entities who have a material body. Conditioned souls. Dehinam, to the embodied. Ayam, this. Ativa, extremely. Suhrit, dear. Saha, that. Deha, body. So, Dehinam, to the conditioned souls, the embodied. Ativa Suhrit, extremely dear. What is extremely dear? This body. This, which is extremely dear to the conditioned soul, that body, Sahadeha, that means to the conditioned soul, the body is very dear. That body, na, not, avekshitaha. Navekshitaha means, avekshitaha means not caring for. Navekshitaha. Avekshitaha means taking care of. Na avekshitaha means not taking care of. To the embodied soul, the body is extremely dear, but not taking care of that body. Samuchitaha. Samuchitaha means properly, not taking care of the body properly, or in other words, neglecting completely. Samuchitaha, properly. Kshapitum. Kshapitum means expending, to expend, or to use. Mad arthe, on my account. So this is Kardamuni speaking. Kardamuni said, O respectful daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, today I am very much pleased with you for your great devotion and most excellent loving service. Since the body is so dear to embodied beings, I am astonished that you have neglected your own body to use it on my behalf. I'll say it again. Kardamamuni said, O respectful daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, today I am very much pleased with you for your great devotion and most excellent loving service. Since the body is so dear to embodied beings, I am astonished that you have neglected your own body to use it on my behalf. Purport. It is indicated here that one's body is very dear. Yet, Devahuti was so faithful to her husband that not only did she serve him with great devotion, service, and respect, but she did not even care for her own health. That is called selfless service. Very interesting point. She did not even care for her own health. That is called selfless service. It appears that Devahuti had no sense pleasure, even with her husband. Otherwise, she would not have deteriorated in health. Acting to facilitate Kardamamuni's engagement in spiritual elevation, she continually assisted him, not caring for bodily comfort. It is the duty of a faithful and chaste wife to help her husband in every respect, especially when the husband is engaged in Krishna consciousness. In this case, the husband also amply rewarded the wife. This is not to be expected by a woman who is the wife of an ordinary person. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of all the assembled devotees. Thank you very much for joining in today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from the 23rd chapter of the 3rd canto, and this chapter is entitled Devahuti's Lamentation. The context is after their marriage, Kardama Muni and Devahuti's marriage, Swayambhu Manu and his wife Shatarupa returned to their respective residence. And Devahuti, who was very expert in understanding the desire of her husband, who was a chaste lady, engaged in serving her husband the way goddess Parvati engages in serving her husband, Lord Shiva. She served her husband with great intimacy and at the same time with great respect. Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport how it is important that these two words, Vishrambhena and Gauravena, are very significant. The husband is a very intimate friend, and the wife must serve him very intimately. But at the same time, the husband is always superior to the wife, and therefore this must be observed. She should respect him. You cannot treat him like an equal and become familiar. Also, we see that the relationship between Kardama Muni and Devahuti is also compared to the relationship between a guru and disciple. Similar principles are observed there also. Vishrambhena, Gauravena, with great respect. The disciple serves the spiritual master. So we see in the previous few verses, couple of verses, we have seen how Devahuti served her husband. The details are given, the words themselves are given in the shloka, but Srila Prabhupada has elaborated them in the purports. So, Gauravena, with respect. A man naturally wants to be superior to his wife, and Srila Prabhupada says this must be observed. Every wife must feel her husband as superior. She should feel that way too. So that is why there are many factors here for the wife to feel that her husband is superior. Husband is superior. Just by that relationship, he is superior. But for her to feel like that, proper marriage should be arranged by the parents, seeing the character, the natures must match. In this case, we see she was a yogini and her husband was a yogi. Like that. And then sometimes even if the husband is wrong, Srila Prabhupada says the wife must tolerate because she has to give him that superior position. Then she served him damena. Damena means by controlling her senses. A wife has to learn to control herself even if there is a misunderstanding. So in that context, damena is said, controlling her senses, her mind, she has to serve. This is how Devahuti has served, and taking Devahuti's example, Srila Prabhupada is giving lessons. Sauhridena. Sauhridena means always desiring good for the husband. Vacha madhuraya, always speaking to the husband with sweet words. Because when she speaks sweet words, the husband will feel himself superior. But if she does not speak sweetly, if she speaks harshly, then he will feel threatened, challenged, and then there's a fight. So Srila Prabhupada explains that at home a husband must be treated with sweet words. Why? Because he becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world. And after coming home, if he hears harsh speech, he becomes frustrated immediately. That's why women must always handle very carefully and sweetly. Her talk should be sweet when the husband comes home. Then family life is very nice and they can progress in Krishna consciousness nicely. Otherwise, there will be fights. So further we hear how Devahuti served Kardama Muni. Visrijya kamam dambham cha. Giving up lust. Dambham. Dambha means pride. Dvesham, envy. So she shouldn't feel envious of her husband or competitive. No. Pride, she shouldn't have any pride of her father's home, her relatives. She should not try to show her husband that she's coming from a superior background. That's dambha. Then, so Devahuti served Kardama. What is Devahuti's position? She was from, she's the daughter of the emperor of this whole universe. Swayambhuva Manu's daughter. Her brothers are kings. And now she is here in the forest in a small hut, but without any pride of her maternal opulences or fame. That's why Visrijya kamam dambham cha. She gave up lust, she gave up pride, dvesham, envy, lobham, greed, agham, sin, madam. Madam means madness. Apramattodyata nityam teji yamsam atoshayat. And in this way, she engaged in the service, teji yamsam, in the service of her very powerful husband. And for how long did she serve her husband like this? For a very, very long time. Kalena bhuyasa kshamam karshitam vratacharyaya. Having served him for a long time, she grew weak and emaciated due to her religious observances. Devahuti served her husband with this type of consciousness for a very, very long time, for many, many years, not just, on one particular day or whenever she felt inspired, for many, many years. By this, she became very lean Her clothes were soiled. She didn't have any time to take care of herself. She's living here in the forest with her husband, who was always absorbed in meditation, and she's making arrangements for him. Her clothes were soiled, her hair was unkempt, and there were layers of dirt accumulated on her skin. And she became very thin and emaciated. But when she was brought by her father, how was she? She was very beautiful. At her father's house, she was served by many maidservants. She was served the best of foods and costly clothes. But when she got married to Kardama Muni, she immediately adjusted her lifestyle according to her husband's needs. And Kardama Muni was absorbed in his tapasya. He didn't even pay attention to Devahuti's condition all these years because he was absorbed in his meditation. And on this particular day, he happened to take note of his wife, how she was when he first saw her and what is her condition now. So seeing her, he felt great compassion for her. That means finally Devahuti won the heart of her husband by her service. Many lessons can be learned from Devahuti's example in a devotee's life. Utsahat, nishchayat, dhairyat, tat karma pravartanat. Enthusiastic, being enthusiastic in doing your particular, of course, in devotional service, in carrying out the instructions given by the spiritual master. Utsahat, nishchayat, with determination. Dhairyat, with patience. Patience. You may not see the results, but you should still carry out the instructions. Tat karma pravartanat. Doing your duties. Sangatyagat satovritte. Shadbir. Shadbir. What is the next one? Shadbir. These are the 6 do's.
Bhakti prasidati.
Huh?
Shadvir bhakti prasidati. Something like
Yes. Prasiddhyati. That means you will become, your bhakti will become successful. You will attain that bhakti by this type of attitude. So in case of Devahuti, what was her, what she is doing her dharma, but let's see what Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport about this. Srila Prabhupada is saying that it is indicated here that one's body is very dear. Yet Devahuti was so faithful to her husband that not only did she serve him with great devotion, service, and respect, but she did not even care for her own health. That is called selfless service. Selfless service. We want to offer everything that we have in the Lord's service. You don't want to keep anything behind. Offer everything to the Lord, whatever you have. However, now devotees will say there has to be a balance. You should not be fanatic. What does it mean? We need an expert spiritual master to guide our activities because we are immature. When we become mature, then we can discriminate, we can understand what is the motivation behind my service. But when we are immature, we don't understand the motivation. You are offering everything to Krishna. What is the purpose behind your service? That is important. Many times, if you just see, I don't know about, I can tell for myself. We say with the lips, this is what I want to do. But really, what is the intention? Externally, we are saying, this is pure devotional service. I'm doing pure devotional service. It may just be you're just speaking it. But a spiritual master, an expert spiritual master, can guide the disciple carefully from wherever the disciple is situated. Somebody who's not capable of full surrender, the spiritual master will engage him in activities, karma, and then he will tell him, offer the results to the Lord. Now, because the spiritual master has said that to one devotee, you cannot generalize it for everyone. The spiritual master knows that eventually he wants to bring that devotee to the level of full surrender. But immediately, if you said full surrender, he wouldn't be able to do. He will just lose all hope. So very carefully, the spiritual master guides that disciple. So, but the goal is eventually to come to the point of pure devotional service. What is pure devotional service? Selfless service. Selfless service means nothing for self, everything for the Lord. Manasa deha geha jo kichu mor arpilu tuapade nanda kishor. Manasa deha geha. My mind, my body, my home, my family, whatever I have, I'm offering everything at the lotus feet of Nanda Kishore, the son of Nanda Maharaj. That's the highest. And that should be the goal. That's the highest. And we should not doubt this, and we should not try to minimize this point in any way. Even if we are not able to do it, we should always talk about it. We should always look up to this. Devahuti is glorified here because she is offering everything without caring for her own body. It is not that she's thinking, oh, later on I'm going to get something else. She didn't think about herself. She didn't care for her body. And in this verse, we are seeing Kardama Muni is astonished by Devahuti's behavior because for a conditioned soul, the body is very dear. This body is very dear. We feed this body, we decorate this body, and anyone who is related to this body becomes very dear to us. Children who are born from this body, they become very dear to us. Bodies from which we got this body become very dear to us. This is natural for a conditioned soul. But pure devotional service means sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam hrishikena hrishikesha sevanam. Bhakti Ruttama. Coming out of all types of designations and engaging our senses in the service of the master of the senses. Our senses means even the mind. Everything in the service of the Lord. This is selfless service. And this is rare. This is not possible for a conditioned soul. Dehinam means the embodied. When you say embodied, a soul which is entrapped in the body, that is a conditioned soul. For those in material bodies, it's almost impossible. That's why Kardama Muni was surprised. He was astonished. Not only was she doing her duty as a wife, and what kind of service did she offer to her husband? Excellent service. Shushrushaya paramaya. Parama, supreme. Shushrushaya means service. She offered the best quality service. Parayacha bhaktya. And the highest devotion, with the highest devotion, she was engaged in the service of the Lord, of her husband. And so there are two things here. One thing is serving the Lord, serving her husband. And the other thing is not caring for herself. Now, not caring for oneself can be fanatic. Yes, not caring for yourself. Just putting the body through all types of tortures. That's not called highest service. Using this body, engaging this body in the service of the Lord is very important. Today is PANDAVA NIRJALA EKADASI. We all know these are the hot months of the year. It's extremely hot. And devotees observe NIRJALA EKADASI, not even drinking water, to please the Lord. This devotion of the devotees must be recognized, must be acknowledged, must be glorified. This is an act of devotion for the Lord, an act of obedience to the scripture. This is selfless service. Obviously, the mood is important. But even if you didn't have the mood, the beauty of devotional service, bhakti, is that even unknowingly, if one does it, still he gets the result. You try to make people, new people, chant Krishna's names or Gaura's names without their knowledge. Why? Because even unknowingly, if they chanted Krishna or Gaura or Rama, they're going to get the benefit. Same way. And it attracts the Lord's attention. When the child is very dependent on the parent, and if the child is undergoing some difficulty, naturally the parent's attention will be on that child, always thinking about that child. Similarly, when a devotee is voluntarily taking up austerities, difficulties to please the Lord, it very much attracts the attention of the Lord. Ekadasi itself is very dear, Madhava Tithi. It is the day of the Lord. It is the mother of devotion, Ekadasi. Once I heard a class on PANDAVA NIRJALA EKADASI given by His Holiness Varshana Swami Maharaj in New Vrindavan. I forget the year. I don't know the year, but sometime, I think between 2001 and 2005, one of those years. So there Maharaj said, and of course this is quoted in Brahma Vaivarta Purana, this story, history of how Bhimsen was not able to tolerate hunger because he had this fire, a burning fire of digestion in his belly that he just could not tolerate not eating. In that context, Maharaj said that Ekadasi means full fast. Ekadasi, any Ekadasi fasting means full fast. Bhimsen was not his brothers, his mother, his wife, Draupadi ji, Kunti Maharani, and his brothers, Pandavas. They were observing Ekadasi. But Bhimsen was not able to observe. And he approached Vyasdev and he asked him, what can I do? I cannot tolerate this hunger. There are 25 Ekadasis in a year. He said, I just cannot stand. I cannot fast 25 times in a year. It's impossible for me. Then Vyasdev said, on this particular Ekadasi, Pandava Nirjala Ekadasi, if you observe this one Ekadasi without eating or drinking even, then it will give you it is as good as observing Ekadasis on the remaining 24 days, 24 Ekadasis, just observing this one day. And then we hear glories of that Ekadasi. And so Bhimsen agreed, accepted that. On this one day, yes, once a year I'll do it. So there Maharaj had said that for us it is not an option. This is the point. Varshana Maharaj said, because we are not fasting every Ekadasi full fast. We are already eating every Ekadasi. So once a year fasting full, we fall in the category of Bhimsen. because we are not doing full fast every Ekadasi. So for us, it is essential, it is imperative that you should observe Pandava NIRJALA EKADASI once a year. Of course, and Srila Prabhupada says, those who are, you have serious health conditions, or you are pregnant, or you are nursing a child, or there's one king. This is given in, I think, Vishnu Purana. This is given, I'll just give you quickly this reference. Rukmangada, King Rukmangada. This is from Vishnu Purana. He made it a rule in his kingdom that everyone above 8 years and less than 85 years has to follow Ekadasi, like full fast, every Ekadasi. He made it a rule. And the result was all his citizens, at the time of death, they were all going back to Vaikuntha. Everybody was going, regardless of whatever else they did or didn't do. Everyone in the country, in the kingdom, had to observe Ekadasi, and everybody was going back to Vaikuntha. So, coming back to our verse here, talking about selfless service. Devahuti was so faithful to her husband that not only did she serve him with great devotion, service, and respect, but she also didn't care for her own health. So, the point that I'm trying to impress upon all of you is that not caring for our own health in the service of the Lord. Offer everything you have in the service of the Lord, not caring for yourself. But in the name of serving the Lord, don't act whimsically. In the name of service to the Lord. You understand? Use all your energy in the Lord's service. And one last point. What Srila Prabhupada said was, if you are not able to render service in the name of fasting, if you're fasting and you're feeling so weak that because of fasting, I can't do anything, I just have to sleep. Please consider, devotees were all living in temples. All devotees had services in the temple. Somebody is a pujari, somebody is a book distributor, somebody is milking the cows. So devotees had services in the temple for the deities. Cleaning even, different services devotees are doing and the temple is running. And now they will say, today is Pandava NIRJALA EKADASI, so I have to fast. And when I fast, I cannot do my services. So just close the temple or what? Please understand the things in the right context. If you're not able to carry out your devotional service, you're not able to wake up the deities in the morning, you're not able to perform arti, you're not able to cook Rajbhog for the Lord, if you're not able to clean, you're not able to do any of these services because of your fasting, then better eat some potatoes and do your service. That was said. But what is our practical experience? What is the idea of fasting? The idea of fasting is cut down on your material activities, cut down on your eating and cleaning, on your personal things, and save that time for devotional service. Engage in chanting, engage in reading and hearing. So, the fact is, the reality is, when you are actually engaged in devotional service, if you are absorbed in devotional service, it is very easy to fast. It's very easy to fast. On Janmashtami day, all day you're engaged in service and you don't feel anything that day. You don't feel like I'm hungry and I'm starving because you are engaged in devotional service. So they'll go hand in hand. You stop working today. Don't go to job. Sit down and chant if you can do. Not that because I have to go and work and I have to earn money and I have to do this and that, therefore I cannot fast today. That's not a good excuse. Selfless service. And of course, that's why I said in the beginning, we need a spiritual master who will guide us, because the spiritual master knows your condition, your level of surrender, and will guide you accordingly. Then it becomes the spiritual master's responsibility. Whatever you do, it becomes the spiritual master's responsibility. Let me just quickly see if there's any more points in the purport and I'll open up for discussion. It appears that Devahuti had no sense pleasure even with her husband, otherwise she would not have deteriorated in health. So it is not that who will decide that I need this much for my health. If you have an actual health condition and the doctor has said, that's a different thing. But for a parent, the child will always be sick if the child doesn't eat. Even after the child becomes a teenager, the parent will not allow the child to fast on Janmashtami or on Pandav NIRJALA EKADASI because you will become weak. There will never be a time when the parent will feel, okay, now you're strong enough and you can fast. They will never feel like that. That's why follow scripture. What scripture is saying, have faith in the words of scripture and follow. Ye yathamam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. As one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. The more seriously you take, this is also love and devotion. This is not dry austerity. Observing fasting on Ekadasi, observing fasting on Janmashtami, Gaur Purnima, this is an act of devotion. It is not just an austerity. It's not dry austerity. To lose weight when we fast and all that, that is dry austerity. That's useless for devotional progress. Or to control our mind when we fast, that is jnana. But these days are for devotion, for bhakti. Acting to facilitate Kardama Muni's engagement in spiritual elevation, she continually assisted him, not caring for bodily comfort. Yes. That mood is important. And these days are very, they give us a boost in our spiritual life. Even though we don't start thinking that, oh, I am now capable of doing. No, we depend on the Lord and then we step forward depending on the Lord. And then you will see you'll be pulled up. That's called surrender. Dependence on the Lord, not on our abilities. Acting to facilitate Kardama Muni's engagement in spiritual elevation, she continually assisted him, not caring for bodily comfort. It is the duty of a faithful and chaste wife to help her husband in every respect, especially when the husband is engaged in Krishna consciousness. Even if he's not engaged in Krishna consciousness, still, it's the duty of the wife to engage in the service of her husband because that's her dharma. By doing that, she will not be sinful. She will be protected from sin. But in the case of Devahuti, her husband was a devotee. And not just a devotee, he was very powerful too. So the husband also amply rewarded the wife in Devahuti's case. So we will see that in the coming verses, how Kardamamuni rewarded Devahuti. But Srila Prabhupada is making an important point here, the last line of the purport. This is not to be expected by a woman who is the wife of an ordinary person. So now, because Devahuti was rewarded by her husband, builds this beautiful airplane, very, it's practically a city which flies in the sky. Kardamamuni is a great yogi and he's able to do that. So now all wives shouldn't expect from their husbands that he will do wonderful things like Kardamamuni for me because I'm rendering service to him. Srila Prabhupada is cautioning against that. No, this is not to be expected by women. But if you render service to your husband faithfully, certainly you will be rewarded because you're carrying out your dharma. A chaste lady becomes very powerful. We have many examples. From Mahabharata, we see Gandhari. She's an example of a chaste lady. She blindfolded herself because her husband was blind. So by that, she got such powers that she was able to, make the body of Duryodhan like Vajra, like a diamond, like very hard, impenetrable, like that. So service to husband is the duty of a wife. And certainly it is rewarded also. So we will see how Devahuti is rewarded by her husband. But in today's verse, we saw Kardamuni is surprised. He's very pleased. He's saying, Tushtoham, I'm very satisfied by your service, your selfless service, your highest devotion. And I'm surprised that you didn't even care for yourself in trying to serve me like that. So we will stop here. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna. I heard about Ekadasi in India. One devotee was telling, I don't know what the reason that we don't follow it, the day on Ekadasi, we follow in Dwadasi. Have you heard that?
It's actually, both, it's a conjunction of Ekadasi and Dwadasi together. It's called Mahadwadasi. Yes, it's both together. Sometimes it happens like that. Ekadasi, Dwadasi, they fall on the same day. So for Pandava Nirjala Ekadasi, it happens like that. Okay, I think Mataji left. Any other questions, comments, corrections? Yes, Prabhuji. Dronachari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, sorry, I just got disconnected by mistake. Can you please repeat? When I asked you the question, I immediately at the same time I got disconnected.
Oh, so you didn't hear? You said
I said I didn't hear.
Yeah. I said that Ekadasi and Dwadasi Tithis, they fall on the same day. It's called a Mahadwadasi. So that's the day when you fast also. So this happens every year, Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi day.
We fast today and we don't fast tomorrow, but
Right. Yeah, you fast today. Yes, Dronachari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I very much appreciated your explanation of this austerity and selfless service. The part of me feels that we can't quite comprehend the qualities of Kadharma Muni and Devahuti and just how pure they were in consciousness, especially just in our Kali Yuga environment and all the things that we have around us influencing us. We have a difficulty in selfless service, just a simple task like prasadam distribution. We're serving out prasadam. The devotees that are serving out, you know, the idea is that if it runs out and you're serving, then you don't. If you're the server, you don't get to eat, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is. But you can even see it in that service. You know, you start getting to the end, and they start thinking, "Oh, what about me?" Just a simple thing like that. Even knowing that they can go home and eat and they're not going to starve to death or anything. Something simple like that is a struggle, even nowadays. So, as we approach to try to make our service selfless, is there any exercises or ways that we can test ourselves when we're going to do a service that can help us at least approach this level of selflessness when we're doing service? What can we do to prepare ourselves, to remind ourselves that we should approach this, our service to Krishna in a selfless way?
Yeah. Examples are very powerful. If you have live examples in front of you, that's most effective, because we, even though we are not so advanced, at least we try to copy, imitate. But hearing is a very powerful tool. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. Because when you read Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam is filled with pure devotional service and pure devotees. So when we hear about them, and just like now we are hearing about Devahuti's selfless service, like this, and when we discuss these topics, then by that purification and by their mercy, we can also get a desire to act on that principle. Of course, what I'm saying is completely theoretical. I don't have those qualities, so I cannot really give you practical steps. But these are the two things that come to my mind. If you have live examples, it's very, very powerful. When you see people who are actually embodying these qualities, then it's very powerful, very attractive, and that moves us also to be like that. But otherwise, hearing from scripture about these qualities.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, we will stop here. Thank you all so much. I wish you all a glorious Ekadasi, to whatever extent you're able to observe it. My best wishes to all of you. Please try to hear more and more, chant. That's how Srila Prabhupada told us to observe festival days, whether it is Gaur Purnima, Janmashtami, if you have services, engage in services. But otherwise, you can just chant Hare Krishna or hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna book, read. This is how we can spend our day on every day, but especially on these days. Thank you so much. Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Arcanabhakti. Hare Krishna. Hope you're doing well. How's everything?
It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Good. We
Hare
miss you here
Krishna.
in Philadelphia, but we're glad to have your association, at least over Zoom.
Thank you, Prabhu.